I agree with you. Like, I don't think AI is going to completely, obviously, replace the human element, though I have seen 2 dental offices now where there's literally a doctor and an assistant. One doctor, one assistant, and when you check in, it's a kiosk check-in. It's a video, just like we're talking about here, and everything is really automated.
Hey everybody, welcome to an awesome group that I am a part of, and I get the privilege to call all of these ladies friends of mine. You're watching or listening to The Learning Curve, sponsored by Curve Dental, and I will introduce myself. I'm Lynn Leggett, the founder and CEO of Victory Dental Management, and we will go down the line and everybody can introduce themselves for you.
I am Beverly Wilburn. I am an office manager in Northern Virginia, and I do a lot of playing around on the internet is like my day job, and working with you lovely people and getting to spend a lot of great quality time with some of the best in dentistry. Before they go, I just kind of want to say, we had these beautiful mugs made for this, and when I was kind of like, hey, let's make these mugs for my friends here, I thought that I would give them names because, they all have really unique qualities. So Lynn here is known as the coach, and Teresa here is known as the guru. Malika is the brains behind this organization, and I'm the mouth. So there you go.
And she does more than play around on social media, I promise. So. My name is Teresa Duncan. I am the owner of Odyssey Management, and you can usually find me online talking about insurance management, sometimes being grumpy about insurance and management, but usually crotchety. Thank you for the correction, Beverly. So you can find me online, just hashtag crotchety consultant. Go ahead, Malika.
I'm Malika Azargun. I'm the founder and CEO of Zara Dental Consulting. I'm also in Northern Virginia, right outside of DC.
So I'm so sorry, I can't get over crotchety consultant.
I went with grumpy. She went straight up to crotchety. You might as well have said salty. I mean, my gosh.
Just got extra sugar in that cup.
Today's exciting segment is going to be talking about the future of dentistry. This may go a lot of different ways. So
this is probably the most exciting one we've talked about today so far, right?
It could
the future of dentistry.
There's so many things. I think that this time in dentistry, it's an abundance of technology, different ways of doing things. So I'm interested, whoever wants to go first, what do you think we're going to be seeing within the future of dentistry?
Robots.
AI. Robots.
Lots of robots.
More AI, more robots.
I'm really kind of joking, but I think there's going to be a lot more AI. I mean, we're not talking like robots like walking around. Like, that's a little scary. But I do think we're going to see a lot more machines helping us to do the job, which is great. I mean, we're already having it, like, right? We have AI that's already helping us with images, claim adjudication, and all of that. But what about even treatment planning or risk management? What I am excited about is some software taking the patient's history, medical history, how they are right now, and then instead of saying we're going to treat you as is, they actually can project what is not necessarily a prediction, but here's a pathway here. If you don't do this, based on your risk and your progression in the past, your caries will be here, or you will lose this much tooth structure. Yeah. That we in dentistry don't typically. We don't treatment plan out that far. We treatment plan fixing here. We don't treatment plan what it could do. So say you live in the periodontal world, in a periodontal office. What if we could say, based on the staging and the grading of your disease, mix in that you just got diagnosed with diabetes, mixed in that you've been on blood thinners for this long or whatever, theoretically, you could be at this stage within 2 years. You can expect to have this much bone loss. That's exciting. We don't really look that far ahead.
I'm sorry.
Why are you laughing?
Bone loss is exciting. I'm like, I thought I
was like on a roll.
No,
and here
you
she
were
is
good.
laughing at my bum
You were
loss.
amazing. That is a very good. I love that. I love it. No, you're right. You're absolutely right, though. Yeah.
I am the one that thinks insurance is fun, though, so maybe.
Bone loss means business for me, so maybe it is exciting.
It should be exciting for you. Sales.
No, it was. It's the technologies in the medical, integrating the technologies in the medical world and the dental world to give the patient's future better outcomes.
And better care, I think,
kinda right.
really.
So
Yeah, better
honestly,
care.
Like if you're going to hear someone say, "Look, you have a risk of this." I mean, think about cardiac disease. When somebody is told that they, you know what, in 10 years you're going to have this much blockage. Right now you have this much. You're going to have this much. Like, that's huge. I mean, that would really wake up a lot of people. So what if we were able to say, okay, your tooth's a little mobile now. That thing's going to be flapping in the wind in a year.
Or using AI to show the advancements of what they specifically would look like in that round. You know what I mean? And so here's where you are now. This is you. This is your tooth. This is what that progression is going to look like.
Yeah.
That's super smart.
Well, and you also have, I would actually love, if I were a receptionist, to not answer the phone anymore. I know that sounds contrary, but I would really love to not answer the phone as much. I would love to have a lot of stuff coming in. And
I was against that until I was for it, but now I'm for it.
Are you running for office?
We are in DC. Yeah. I was against it until I was for it. But truth, I mean, it's the technology that is coming out of virtual administrative teams and the softwares, the technologies coming out of the softwares like Curve and especially cloud-based softwares is tremendous in regards to that. And I will be the first to say I was one of those like old school, like this is not going to work, no way, this is never going to replace this. And you see both sides, I think, of the AI. You see the goodness that AI is doing. You do still see some of the, there's obviously some of those challenges. Yeah. Thank you for that word, because I would have picked a much more not as nice word.
Oh boy.
But yes, the challenges of it as well. So I think
And there's a fear too.
That's really
There's a fear, I think. I mean, people are like, oh gosh, is this going to take over my job? Or, the quality that I provide. I personally don't think so. I think it's going to bring some efficiency, especially with the lack of staff and staffing that we have going on right now. If people would open their view into like, okay, can I utilize this and give it a chance at least? I always say, try it. If it doesn't work, you can always go back. It's not a dead end.
That's true.
It's okay.
There's consistency. So if I know that me at the front, yes, I gave an amazing customer experience. I talked to my patients and they loved me. Okay, fine. But maybe they didn't love me when I was on the phone with someone else, or I was rushing in the back to complete a treatment plan. But meanwhile, the person who now is answering the phone, either AI is taking the scheduling, request, or we're even talking to somebody through technology. So you and I both have aging parents that we take care of. We walked in and had kiosks where people are not even in the office, right? And my friend Rita, I just had her on a podcast when we talked about virtual administration. She checked in for her hairdresser appointment, and there's some girl that's sitting at home and she's smiling and she's happy and she's checking them in and taking payment and all that, and it's just an iPad on a stick.
I had it at an eye doctor.
That's amazing.
Same thing. I had the whole eye appointment, the whole doctor and everything was all video virtual.
Really?
The whole thing. The eye doctor was not even there. Like, they just read the things and did all the things. They did all of the things not there.
Okay, so you know what? At least with a dental office, you can't take the drill away.
Very true. Very true.
But if I'm an optometrist now, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
That's true.
But it's it's interesting that you brought up you guys having older parents and other things, and I think that what we're seeing with even the older people embracing the technology is an interesting dynamic as well. They're embracing it too. They're kind of like, well, I can get my stuff done fast, or other things. So I mean, it's not as much of a challenge as I anticipated that part of it to be.
Well, and one thing that I didn't think about is my dad is deaf. Like, it's very annoying. He's not really deaf, but he plays like he's deaf. Do you guys know what I'm talking about?
Oh, yeah.
Like, he should be wearing
your dad,
hearing
my
aids.
husband.
We're past selective listening.
Oh my gosh. It's like, I didn't hear you. I know. So, but the thing is, if he's filling out forms online, that's better for him than having to sit, and it takes time. They don't want to be there and having to listen to someone, and he never hears it clearly, even if he's got the hearing aid in. So I didn't think about it that way. You know, there are people that really would rather sit and take their time and digest and read all of that. And we're all at different stages in our lives with that. I don't want to talk to anyone. You guys know how it is. Maybe I'm crotchety. Is that the word we're going
yes,
with?
It is, but I love you. I love you. I wouldn't have it any other way. I love you.
So, but yeah, so I
You've
know
just
you and I
seen
were
it
just
all.
talking. I have seen it. You and I were just talking about that, when we go now to see the dental office and the medical office. Like, it's not uncommon now. In fact, it's weird to sit and interact. Like, I'm now used to.
It's very rare. So I take my parents to a lot of appointments. Everything's pretty much on an iPad, a kiosk.
Yeah.
And I remember taking my mom to an appointment it was like a bone density test, and I'm like looking for someone to check in with, and I can't find. I mean, it's a big center, and it was like a big machine that says, "Come over here." I'm like, okay.
Was it on wheels and followed you?
No,
around?
it was on the wall, but it was kind of freaky. I was like, okay, I guess. And it was great. The minute I checked in, a nurse walked out and called her name. Within like 2 minutes, I was like, this is pretty impressive, actually.
I mean, I had it this week twice, actually, taking Dad to urgent care, and it's one of those that it's a stand with an iPod, and you plug it in, and what happens is when you show up, they're doing triage, they're trying to figure out what's going on with the patient. They get you in the room, they're already starting to do diagnostics and figuring out what's going on with the patient, blood work, all of that.
Even in urgent care.
Even in urgent care, and then they turn around, and you're there. Now, we had been there at least an hour and a half before the nurse at some point goes, okay, now it's time. And she plugs it in and she wheels it over and she goes, you can register now. And I thought, how interesting. And then the screen comes up and it's a live human being talking to you by name, and they're having this conversation, and now on this screen, you're going to find this, Mrs. Leggett, you're going to find this, I need your signature here. And they walk you through it. It's interactive. So it didn't roll on its own, though. There was no robot on the stand, but the stand came, and I thought, you take care of the patient first. So we've got patient care, and then we're registering. Now I realize it's different on the medical versus the dental side, and then that was it. We had all the paperwork.
Can you imagine if we had that?
I know.
I had a check-in like that at a lab, like LabCorp or whatever the lab is. You have a lab.
Yep.
And I'm thinking they did everything. I'm like, if this little machine comes out with a jabber and like sticks me to take the blood, I'm running. I'm out. But it didn't. A real person came and got me to take my blood. But
So let's talk about the lab, because I think a lot of people go through lab work. I mean, it's one of those things where the more efficient they can get that whole intake process, how many more patients can they serve?
Yeah.
Because they're doing, drug testing, blood work, for a myriad of different things. How many more patients can they serve? Which, of course, is going to help with profitability, store over store numbers year over year. But we can look at it from a business standpoint. But that's how that technology can let us go further. So
Yeah, no, talking to a dental director, actually a Pearl, and what he was saying to me is when he would look at an x-ray, he would be usually about 2 to 3 minutes per radiograph. I mean, and if you have an FMX, that's a lot. But to make sure that he saw everything, took a look at historical if needed, but he had to make clinical decisions in his mind at that fast. And so if you can help that and kind of shortcut that, it's not like you're not making a clinical decision, but at least it's really no different than if during a hygiene visit, the hygienist writing down on a Post-it note, here's what you should look at.
Yep.
It's really no different than that. And it speeds up the whole clinical experience. And I just thought that was a really good way of looking at the efficiency. So I like that the money's getting faster too. We have I know Curve has this, they're beta testing it right now, but the whole thing of like getting paid in one day. Right,
they're kind of leading. They're kind of like leading the charge on.
So like you submit the claim and then boom, end of day payments there because they've got an agreement with the carrier. I mean that's
huge.
And that's huge. And so I mean honestly, like I would love to be paid immediately by an insurance company.
So would every dentist in America.
Right.
Especially the younger ones that have all the, when they're opening up, cash flow is not there. They're in the negative for months, even a year. So imagine if they're, and this is like a common question I get the first month when they open. I haven't got any checks yet. Do you know when they're coming? You know, and that's the thing. Imagine if you get paid
You
same
pull
day.
out your phone, you're like, hold on, they just texted me this morning.
Some of the questions, I'm like, I don't even know what to say.
No, every aspect. So I don't want to be like all AI is the future and everything, but at some point it's going to affect us along the way. And I think the offices that are really excited to use it and take the bull by the horns, not just clinically, but look at administratively. I know insurance coordinators who are using ChatGPT to write appeals letters and asking them to pull sources, but make sure you check your sources because ChatGPT can be a little bit, they can hallucinate a little bit. So, but you can use that. And if you don't know what to say to a patient, like a welcome letter, you can use AI to help you do that. Blog posts, all that social media posting. There's just so many different ways.
I see it really being utilized really, really well, especially softwares, cloud-based softwares, Curve, with the add-ons of Pearl, Bola, other things like that. But especially for large, like DSOs or, very large-scale dental groups where that clinical director or that owner doctor or whoever that is overseeing all of those other, associates in all of these other locations, they're able to streamline their processes into something that makes it simplified for them and reduce their workload as well.
Right.
So, or maybe there's that mid-level clinical director in each, region or other things like that, where you now have layers or multifaceted layers where they can see everything that's going on throughout all of it. Reports can combine, those kind of things. So I see I agree with you. Like, I don't think AI is going to completely obviously replace the human element, though I have seen 2 dental offices now where there's literally a doctor and an assistant. One doctor, one assistant, and when you check in, it's a kiosk check-in. It's a video, just like we're talking about here, and everything is really automated.
So let's just address the big cry that just erupted from all the admin people around America that are listening to this going, wait a second, what about us? There are so many places for you to go with that. Many of them are working for other offices. They have their own third-party billing, or you stay in the office and you manage it from a different location. Maybe you don't need to be there, but you've got reporting. I mean, look at the software. Look at Curve. I mean, look at all the reporting and the dashboards that they have. You can run your practice from another location, or maybe you're just in the back, right? But I do think, and we've talked about this. It's been years, but I remember saying to all of us, I really think we're going to have a point where we have online business managers for dental offices. And that's going to be normal. Like, you have fractional CFOs, you have fractional marketing officers. I don't see why you wouldn't be a manager who really knows their stuff, really good with strategic decisions. Why wouldn't you work with other offices in that manner too? So I think there's a lot of opportunities, and maybe the receptionist of tomorrow in the dental office means something different than it does today.
And I think it also, all of those add-ons do free up the human component to be more human.
Sure.
With patients.
And not be so
which is what
robotic.
patients buy. Patients buy the relationship. You know what I mean? They buy the treatment, they buy all these things too, but they really buy the relationship. And though I think AI is wonderful, and I like Henry, which is what I've named my ChatGPT.
Oh my God. Of course you did.
Why am I not
I love Henry, but Henry cannot replace a human. Not you guys. Sorry, Henry. It's probably listening to me. My phone's over there.
We're never going to see her again. Her GPS is going to take her somewhere. Who knows where you're going to end up tomorrow?
Beverly went with Henry.
So aside from the AI piece, let's think about like the technology that's coming out. I'm excited that there's more painless dentistry coming, like the whole lasers, that really coming up. I think we're going to be seeing patients on a more preventive basis rather than restorative. I mean, that's been said to be coming down the pike for a while, but wouldn't it be nice if we're known for something other than pain?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Or fear.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fear in that, for sure.
So the future of dentistry, less stress with the help of AI, right? Maybe less stress.
What about our workforce? How do we like get more people into the workforce? But are we sitting here talking that we may not need as much workforce?
I think remote and outsourcing.
So,
I think that's the future. We saw a huge shift post-COVID, but there was no,
And people really want that work-life balance. They really do. I think people are seeking that more so than anything these days, is literally being able to work from home.
Not just the team members, but dentists too. Dentists are really looking for that. So that's going to maybe shape how offices are open, how many days they're open,
and the hours. I think that's a key.
We better start talking for a minute about keeping people in the office, because now people might riot listening to this, going, they're replacing everybody.
Well, I was having this conversation with my husband the other day, who's not in the dental field at all, and he's like, all right, if I were to just ask you, what do you think the big thing's going to be? I said, creative. We have to be creative. We have to be creative about onboarding. We have to be creative about finding people to work in dentistry, but we have to be creative about their schedule, much to the point that all of you are making about, if we want an assistant. Now it's actually a practice that I know of in Richmond. I don't know if you're still around, because I knew about them, years ago, that was developed by 3 female dentists, and they all had young children, and they said, you know what, I want to work this shift, I want to work this shift. And then they found people that wanted to work with them. They almost had a 24-hour rotation of working, because that's what worked for them. I think it comes back to dentists deciding, how do I want to practice dentistry, and can I find other people to partner with so I can take care of from this time to this time. They were seeing patients 5 o'clock in the morning and ending between 2 and 3 on some days, because that's what they wanted to be able to pick their kids up from school. So I think the creative part, we're going to be forced to become really creative, where the 8 to 5 is not going to be, it may be the standard. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the standard going forward. So I hear what you're saying.
We also have to meet the patients where they are. Exactly. I mean, not every patient wants to come to us during the times that we're open. What's interesting, you said it in Richmond, but when I see when I see an office that's typically open for extended hours like that, it's usually like Vegas or someplace near a casino, and casino towns are full of dentists that are open 24 hours all the time, because nobody works regular shifts.
That's because people's teeth get knocked out at the casino. Have you seen the hangover?
I could tell her eyes were like lighting up. She's like, I could tell. I was like, she's like ready to.
Bring the tiger. Let's go.
Henry, help us. But those offices, they stay super busy, and they're advertising. I mean, their signs. Everybody knows who's the 24/7. So maybe they are still open, and even if they're not like super busy, they're as busy as they want to be. Right. And I hear that from a lot of younger dentists now. Like they don't want to be their parents. Right. Like tied to the office all the time, work 9 to 5, and then on the weekends doing the business part. They don't want that.
No, they don't want it, for sure.
No, my clients don't. I mean, because the question is, I want to be able to earn X, but how do we make the schedule work that? And I said, all right, let's work with your parameters first, and then, reverse engineer what we need to do. So, but I'm hearing it too.
Can you do that? Like, if I want to earn X, you can reverse engineer a pretty big X.
There's a big treasure under there.
Just saying.
Very large gold.
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. No, I got really distracted for a second.
But I mean, that's true. I'm going to throw a curveball, if you will. What do you guys think?
A curveball?
Curveball, exactly, curveball.
Yeah, you're so good with that.
It's like I was in sales or something. I don't know. What do you think about the landscape with DSOs versus private practice and what we're looking at in the future? What do you think that looks like?
I'm going to defer to you, because this is your jam.
I mean, obviously DSOs have grown, especially during COVID, I think more than ever, but I'm also seeing it kind of halt. Is DSOs going to go away? No, but I really think patients really want that personal touch. Even if the DSO brand doesn't change their name for the practices, patients see it. And not to say that I'm against DSOs. I've worked with some that have been amazing, but I also think the quality of the DSO is dependent on who's behind the curtains that does that.
Absolutely.
Can I ask you a question on that, Malika? So do you think that, this interests me because I've said at ADOM a couple years ago when we were there, that question kind of came up in the room. It was post-COVID, but came up in the room a lot because there was a lot of DSO movement during that time, right? the question kind of came up, well, do you think, I was on a panel with a transitions specialist and a couple of other things, a couple of other people, and the question came up, well, where do you think the market's heading, or where do you think the future is heading? And they were all very adamant that it's trending towards DSOs, da, da, da. And I said, wait a minute, I think that this is just my personal opinion based on what I'm seeing on trends, is I see seems to be, yes, a lot of, movement in the DSO market, but there's still a lot of boutique type of or solo doctor owner practices. And I kind of see it going like this, that middle kind of washing itself out, but kind of going this way. And I think we might have talked about this even in the last learning curve session a little bit. So my question is, are you seeing, because you work with a lot of different practice types, DSO, let's say large scale DSO owners, noticing that that component, service component, is a little bit lacking because of the volume, and it's not negative at all. It just they have a higher volume. It's hard to give more service when your volume is what it is. So are you seeing them noticing that and putting in any kind of tactics or implementation to curve that behavior?
She has no idea how she does it. She just does it.
It's curb, I think, that behavior, but it's okay. We're going to call it curve.
You know why? I'll say it in this way. They're seeing it, especially when it comes to staffing.
Okay.
The reason is, yes, DSOs can provide more when it comes to benefits, but staff are wanting that deeper, intimate interaction. They don't want to just be a number. Okay. And DSOs are realizing that, yes, they can give the world in the sense of all the CEs, all the meetings, here's all the scrubs, here's amazing health insurance, all of that, where a small private practice is going to have a hard time. They can provide it, but it's going to be at a smaller scale. So what they're seeing is that they're having as hard as a problem staffing their DSOs as much as private does, but private maybe needs 4 staff or 6 staff, where DSOs need more higher volume. And what happens is that trickles down to phones being answered, profitability. You see, yes, they can probably throw more money at these staff members, but their staff members are not sticking. So they're realizing that they got to take it more on a level of, okay, DSOs that have a location, I'm just saying Northern Virginia, we got to do something more intimate with them. And they're going to have to work together more versus, okay, we're going to have a yearly meeting with everybody into one nice hotel and check it off our list. They're seeing that, and at the same time, they're seeing the competition that they got to somehow keep their doctors happy in there too, because when the doctor leaves, the patient's like, oh, what happened to that doctor? I love that dentist, or that dentist has moved on. So there's definitely been a shift where I feel like the privates are doing a better job right now because they have more, it's smaller. Not because the DSOs don't want to, it's more like they're trying to figure out how they can maintain that quality of staffing and doctors, and so that the patients are seeing the same people over and over again.
Right. Because I think the goals are the same in both, right? The goals are the same, is to help people and help patients, and the goals hopefully are the same.
I do think there's another business model that's becoming, that's going to be something we have to really pay attention to, and I actually am excited about. You had a lot of dentists going to DSOs, and then they learned a lot. First of all, a lot of them go straight out of school.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. So go into the DSOs. Then you have a whole slew of entrepreneurial dentists that opened up. Maybe they didn't go to a DSO, but they learned all of the tricks. They've gone to the meetings. They've talked to their colleagues. And instead of going the DSO route, they are smart business people, and they now are starting the acquisitions. And so they're turning into multi-location. They don't even want to call themselves DSOs.
No, they don't.
They are multi-location. They maintain equity, or they share equity with the other dentists in there, and they are able to achieve the same scale, the ordering, the insurance negotiations, and 100%. All of that. So I think you're always going to have the large DSOs. They're always going to be there. And they're the ones who are actually going to take us into the whole merger with medical systems at some point. Then you're going to have the multi-locations, and then you've got the solo 1 to 2 location dentists, which I don't think they're ever going to go away, but I think they're going to have the hardest time out of all of us because of regulatory issues, pricing, all of that, the inflationary, but I don't think they're going to go away. I think they're too fierce.
Yes.
I agree.
But I think the middle ground, what I'm seeing, a lot of my clients are right now one-stop shops. Yeah. Pedo, ortho, oral surgery. Ortho, oral surgery, general. I even have 2 that add a perio to it. Yeah. So, and it's working really well. it's actually working and it's very profitable for
Well,
them.
it's patient centric. A
Yeah.
patient doesn't want to go all these other
Yeah.
places. They go here, and the insurance is the same. You know, the face they see when they walk in is the same. I mean, that's truly patient centric. So, or the iPad that they see is the same. AI.
The face on the
And then
iPad.
that way you have the patient for life and you have the whole family. And then you start, spreading out into all of that. So I think that's a smart business move.
Which is how it used to be, right? We saw a patient, they had kids, we saw them grow up, we saw them have kids. I mean, how many of us have seen the grandkids and stuff? I know I'm totally dating myself, but I mean, it's kind of cool to see that, And then you're like, oh, geez, I better go buy some like anti-aging. Does my doctor do Botox? So we're getting to that point, but yeah.
I think that's one of the things that, if anything, whether it be a classic DSO, mid-market, or solo practice, it comes back to culture. It comes back to being lean and understanding the business of your practice, because I see that as a huge trend going forward. I mean, we talk about the business side of it all the time, but a lot of people don't look at it from that standpoint. So I can see that as something everybody's looking at because they have to. Again, profit isn't a bad word, but how, and then now I'm getting the question, okay, I've plateaued, now what can I do to get better? I get that a lot from my clients.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else we'd like to add about the future?
I think the future is coming fast.
It is. Moving faster.
We'll keep everyone updated, right? That's what we do.
Well, we can keep you updated here on the learning curve, so please don't forget to follow the podcast, subscribe to our channel, and look for us all on social media. Thanks so much for spending your time with us.